morning. Welcome to St. Luke's. Welcome home. I am Pastor Luke Italiano, and it is my pleasure on this warm morning to lead you in worship. I might lead worship down here. There's a lot more breeze up here than up there. It is very warm today, as you may have noted. If you need to step out, if the heat gets to you, the second room on the right, the refresh room, does have the air conditioning running. Unfortunately, we don't have speakers running on that, so you wouldn't be able to follow the service. But if you need to cool down, particularly for your health, you're having a hard time breathing, please step out, take care of yourself, and come back when you've recovered. This morning, this past Thursday, I got to go down and help out at the Lutheran Women's Missionary Society International Rally. It was really fun, really enjoyed it. Got to serve communion there to a lot of people from all over the world. And it was an opening worship service. I got to go down with a couple of our members. And on the way back, anytime I know someone has worshiped elsewhere, I like asking, what did you like? What would you love to try at St. Luke's? And what do you value at St. Luke's more that you never want to try, that you saw there that you never want to do here? And one of the answers I got back was, well, that was a neat order of service, and everyone seemed to know it. We don't. Can we do that at St. Luke's? And I laughed because months ago I had already planned that. That's what we're doing today. So the order of service is all going to be in this blue book that you got on the way in. It'll also, of course, be up on our screen as we go. However, all the hymns and the psalm will be in the red book. So if you like using the books, we're going to be flipping back and forth today. I'll be trying to guide the way as we go. Otherwise, again, everything will be up on the screen. Our opening worship today is an old song, but a good one. Take the world, but give me Jesus. Let's sing hymn 355. Let's worship the Lord. Grace, mercy, and peace. These are yours because of Jesus. Amen. The last few weeks, we have been checking out dangerous questions. We asked, how long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? And then last week we asked, how long are the bad guys going to win? Now, these are dangerous questions. They're questions that we ask God because we're kind of scared of the answer. Now, if those questions touch your heart and you weren't here or you want to review, check out those sermons on YouTube because they are recorded. I'm not going to spend time going through them this morning. But check them out, and if you don't have access, let me know. We'll hook you up here at church. But this week and next week, we're going to kind of change gears a little bit. We're still going to be asking dangerous questions, but they're not the same kind. You see, the questions we had before, we were asking God. But now the questions we're going to get today and next week are questions that God asks us. And because God's the one asking, we have to give an answer. Sometimes those answers are kind of scary. The question we're tackling today is, how long will you waver between two opinions? Let me give you the background. Ahab reigns as king over Israel, and he is a very good king. He is a military genius. He's fought several battles and won, bringing peace to his kingdom. He has made a very strategic alliance through marriage. He's married a woman named Jezebel that secures his northern border. Now, the northern enemies won't attack him because they've got that union by marriage. And Jezebel, she is a smart woman and incredibly loyal to Ahab, doing whatever she can to support him. Sounds like a good time, right? Should be. Except if you've been Christian for a long time, you grew up in Sunday school, maybe those names kind of ring a bell. Ahab and Jezebel. They don't go down as good king and queen because Ahab worshiped this guy named Baal. Baal was god of the storm. He brought rain. And when you live in a desert society, that makes a lot of sense that you would worship a god like that. You want rain to come. So if that's the god of rain, well, that's the god I'm going to worship. Because if rain drops even by just 10%, people start starving. It may make sense, but it's wrong. Because Baal is made up. He's an imaginary friend. He's fake. And Ahab should know better. He grew up in Israel. He's a member of God's chosen people. He knows that the Lord is God and he is the only God. Ahab should know better. But he goes and he worships this false god. Oh, and then it gets worse. See, Jezebel, his wife, his loving wife, wants to support Baal worship, and so she actively hunts out anyone who worships the one true God and executes them. Lovely couple, right? So, you can bet that the one true God doesn't like this. And he sends a prophet named Elijah. And Elijah tells Ahab, because you worship this rain god, I'm going to prove to you how impotent, how powerless your God is. No rain. And for 3 years, no rain. And God preserves Elijah through a series of miracles. Really cool. I encourage you. We're kind of getting the middle chapter in a trilogy today. And I'm not going to go into details on the rest. Go home, read the rest. Read the chapter before and the chapter after this sometime this week. Good stuff. You've got the reference there in your bulletins. Use it. Well, for 3 years, Ahab gets more and more angry as the rain stays away farther and farther and farther until finally Elijah is sent by God to confront Ahab again. And God does that through one of Ahab's servants named Obadiah. There's an entire little episode there. But that's where we pick up, is Obadiah goes, gets Ahab, says, oh, yeah, sir, that prophet that you hate, he wants to see you out in the desert. And Ahab goes and does it. Ahab goes, and that's where we pick up today, as Ahab approaches Elijah and says, is that you troubler of Israel? You're the one who's done this. You're the one who's kept the rain away. This is your fault. How dare you? And Elijah answers back, dude, ain't my fault. You're the one who went and worshipped false gods. You're the one who said, no, I don't want to pay attention to the real God's commands. It was Ahab's doing. But here we get a little lesson and the first key point for today. If you're following along on the fill in the blanks, those who cling to other gods will always blame the failures of their gods on others. And you see this all over, right? Those who cling to other gods will always blame the failures of their gods on others. You see that with Ahab. I'll give a really clear modern day example. If a guy has made alcohol his god, and that alcohol leads him to fail over and over again, the man is probably not going to blame alcohol. He's going to blame someone else. Well, you shouldn't be so hard on me. Well, you shouldn't make me work these hours. Well, it was a stupid game anyway. They're not going to blame their false god. So just a little lesson. Well, Elijah tries to put Ahab in his place, doesn't work. And Elijah says, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a showdown. Your God versus my God. I want you to call up the 450 prophets of Baal. Oh, and bring the 400 prophets of Asherah. That's Baal's wife in that pantheon. Bring them too. 850 versus me. And make sure you bring all the people of Israel. Send out the invites to everyone. And let's meet on Mount Carmel. Strategic location. Mount Carmel. It's on the northern border of Israel. And at the time, it was renowned for its vineyards. Green and peaceful. But after 3 years of drought, not so peaceful, not so green anymore. So you're surrounded by these wooden, gnarled vines that are dead, kind of poking up like fingers from the ground. A very stark reminder. This is what happens when you worship a false god. Death. Well, Ahab wants to publicly embarrass Elijah and publicly defeat him, so he agrees to it. And he summons the 850 prophets. And he summons all the people. Come and see how impotent Elijah's God really is. Let's do this. And all the people gather. And Elijah begins with a dangerous question. Elijah went before the people and said, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him." You can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to follow one or the other. You can't do both. Why do you even have to ask the question? Well, most of the people, the Israelites, they grew up hearing these stories. God led us out of slavery in Egypt. He separated the waters of the Red Sea and let us walk across on dry land. You remember Moses and Joshua and Gideon and Samson and King David, all of these glorious people in our past. Well, that's a cultural heritage. We don't want to let that go. So we're gonna say that we're following this guy, but you know what? Let's live in reality. I mean, really, what we need is rain. So here's this Baal guy. We'll give lip service to this God, but we're going to go follow this guy over here. They're trying to do it both ways, and it doesn't work. Notice how they said it. If the Lord is God, follow him. You ever play follow the leader as a kid? Pretty easy game, right? Okay, if I'm the leader and I'm walking slow this direction, you walk slow behind me this direction. If I turn around and start running, you run with me the other direction. Well, try playing that game with two leaders. One leader goes that way, one leader goes that way. How do you play now, huh? You can follow that guy, but then you're not following this one. You can follow that guy, but then you're not following this one. And if you try to do both at once, you fail both. And that's what happens when you try to follow God and anyone else. Is that you're either really following God, or you're really following the other guy, or you're failing both. And here we get to the next key point. Your God is whatever you chase after. That's who you're really worshiping, whatever you're chasing after. So what are you chasing after? Are you eager to get to know Jesus better? Are you chasing after him because he is so awesome and you want to know him better? Good. Are you chasing after the Cubs? I've got MLB ticket on my TV. I've got my man cave set up, and ain't nothing going to make me miss a game. Are you chasing after that? Are you chasing after, well, I have to look good so that I get her respect because I need to make sure that I do whatever it takes to impress that woman over there? Are you chasing after a relationship? Whatever it takes, I need to make sure I have a girlfriend because otherwise I feel terrible about myself. Are you chasing after money? Well, Jesus has a message for you. You heard it in our gospel lesson. Let me read the one verse again. Jesus said, "No servant can serve two masters. Either he'll hate the one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and, in this case, money." But you can't serve Jesus plus something else. It doesn't work. Let me give an example. Let's say that you're chasing after the Cubbies. Now, if you're cheering for the Cubs, awesome, you go right ahead. They're not my team, but you go for it. Let's say you're really pursuing them to the point that you don't come to church on Sundays because you're going to miss a game. Got to be there for pregame. Don't dare miss pregame. That's important. Got to watch all the interviews. And I show up at your door and I say, "Look, I got nothing against the Cubs. You watch those games. I don't mind that, but you need Jesus more than you need the Cubs. You got to be in worship." Well, if I'm really after the Cubs, my reaction is, "Be quiet. Go away. How dare that Jesus guy infringe on my time with the Cubs? I'm going to love one and despise the other." So maybe I'll give lip service, but I'm really chasing after something else. Flip-flop that. If I'm truly devoted to Jesus, I am totally enraptured with him because of how awesome he is. He saved me despite my sins. He died for me, knowing the scum I am, and has made me his child and has washed me clean. And along come the Cubs saying, hello, we've got a game Sunday. Skip church. I look at them and go, what are you talking about? Here, I'll pick up on the game at a later inning, or I'll DVR it, I'll watch it later. This Jesus guy is more important. I'm going to love one, and I'm going to end up despising the other if it keeps on demanding my time beyond what I'm willing to give because of my devotion to Jesus. Whatever you chase, that is your God. And Elijah lays it out, says, look guys, you can't have it both ways. You can't have the Lord and Baal. Doesn't work. And then he lays out the showdown. Look, this is what we're going to do. You guys, you go ahead, build an altar. Slaughter your sacrifice, put it up on top, but don't light it on fire. I'm going to do the same thing over here. You pray, I pray. And we'll see which God works. Whichever God is actually powerful enough to start his own sacrifice on fire, that's the real God. Sound good? And all the people say, yes, sounds great. Because the people back then knew something that I think we forget sometimes. Next key point. We want a God who works. We want a God who works. I'm not talking about doing a 9-to-5 job. We want a God who does what he says he's going to do. If you're not a Christian and you're visiting, maybe one of the questions you're asking is, does this Christianity thing even work? Does it function? Is it real world? We want a God who works. And that's why we stop going to Jesus and start going to other things, because we think that Jesus isn't working, but this other thing will. And let's face it, that kind of makes sense, right? If what I long for is money, well, I'm going to go work as hard as I can, do whatever I can to get more money, because that works. It's getting me what I'm not going after. It works. If what I need to feel fulfilled is to have a relationship, I'm chasing after that relationship. I'm going after that woman, and it works. She says she loves me, and I feel better. If what I'm after is being the part of something bigger than me, and I become a Cubs fan, I now am part of a fandom. And I go to the ballpark and I'm all dressed up. I got the paint on and all that. Yeah, I'm part of something huge. And it works. For a little bit. And it does work for a little bit. I feel good. I'm in a relationship. I'm part of something bigger. I have the money I need to feel security. Awesome. Except the money runs out. Or the money doesn't protect me from a natural disaster or an illness. And the relationship is awesome. But you know what? That person that I'm married to is just as broken as I am and just as sinful. Sometimes it's not going to feel like she loves me and I'm going to feel broken. Or you know what? The Cubs, they don't always have a great record, right? Maybe the fandom is going to fall apart at a certain point. And I don't feel good anymore because my team isn't winning. They work for a little bit. But in the end, next key point, my sheet has vanished. Hello, wind. But in the end, only Jesus can provide what we ultimately long for. Only Jesus can provide what we ultimately long for. If I'm chasing that woman because I need to feel loved to be fulfilled, I have all that love in Jesus. You know how it is when you start dating, right? You got kind of fake you. Kind of like brush aside all the stuff that, no, you don't pull out all the junk on the first date, right? Maybe not on the second date. Maybe after 10 years of marriage, because then it's too late, right? Jesus already knows all the junk, and he still loves you. You have what you're looking for in Jesus. If you're chasing after the money because of security, you think the money will make you secure. You have that security in Jesus. He says to you, I know my own. I hold them in the palm of my hand and I will not lose them. Go ahead, take a look at the sparrows. You ever see a sparrow farming? You ever see a sparrow running a combine? Nope. And yet God feeds them. And you are way more important than a bunch of sparrows. You have that security you're looking for already in Jesus. Looking for to be part of something bigger than yourself. God has said, you are my child. And you are now part of a family that spans millennia. All the way back to Adam and Eve. You are part of something huge, a lot bigger than any one sports team, even the Packers. So much bigger. You want to be part of something big? You've already got it in Jesus. And you already know that. If I walk up to you and you've been a Christian for a while and I say, hey, what do you think is better, the Cubs or Jesus? You might give me a joke, but I pray that if you're honest, you'd say, well, of course it's Jesus, if I say it that bluntly. So what's going on here? So our sinful natures get into us and make us believe a lie, and that's the next line. We think that when we think we need two gods, we need Jesus and something else. When we think we need two gods, it's because we believe the lie that Jesus won't or can't provide what we think we need. We believe a lie. And it's so easy to fall for that. Well, what do we do? Let's go back to the story. The people agree to this showdown. 450 prophets of Baal build their altar. And the prophets of Asherah are not mentioned here, so I can't say what happened to them. They just sort of fall out of the story. But the prophets of Baal, we know they build this altar. They lay out the sacrifice and they pray. And they pray, and they pray, and they pray, and they get really wild with their praying. Pay attention! And Elijah, sarcasm exists in the Bible. Sometimes we think sarcasm isn't nice, and it really isn't, but it's in the Bible. Elijah says, oh, well, maybe Baal's on a trip. Maybe he's sitting on the toilet. Maybe you gotta cry harder. He's just a lot of sarcasm there. And lo and behold, Baal doesn't answer. And at the end of the day, Elijah says, okay, guys, my turn. And he builds his altar. And he makes his sacrifice. And he lays it out over the altar. And he turns to his servant and says, hey, drench it. The servant brings a huge, huge clay jar of water and drenches the sacrifice. Does it 2 times, 3 times. So there's a trench built around it, and it's filled with water now. And Elijah just stands back, he looks up to heaven, and he says, show him. Bam! Whoosh! Fireball! It all vanishes in the heat. The sacrifice, the altar, the water, crater is all that's left. Yeah, I think we know which God answered, huh? God works. He really does. Now, quick aside. God doesn't usually work that way nowadays. Well, why not? Let me read you Hebrews 1. In the past, God spoke to our forefathers through the prophets at many times and in various ways. So back then, yeah, God worked this way, all sorts of different ways. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through whom he made the universe. Back then he worked that way, but now he works this way, through his word. And it is no less dramatic. Maybe not as many special effects, but it's still pretty cool bringing the dead to life. What about us? How can I keep from falling for that lie? First step. Examine your life. And that is the next blank. Examine your life. And this can't be done superficially, and it can't be done in a day. It takes time. And it takes looking in a mirror, and it can be kind of dangerous to do that. See who else you're following. And you can do that in a couple of practical ways. First off, one way you can do that is by asking, where am I choosing to spend my time or my money? If I'm spending all my time binge watching Walking Dead, maybe that's what I'm following. If I'm spending all my time going zombie on the internet, maybe I found what I'm looking for. If I find all my time thinking about and chasing after a certain someone, maybe I found it. Now again, it is not wrong to enjoy those blessings, but do look and see how much time am I putting into it, or how much money I'm putting into it. Follow the money, follow the time. Another way you can find out what am I chasing after is what do you get angry about when pastor brings it up? If I show up at your doorstep and say, hey man, I haven't seen you in worship in forever, and you get angry about it, well, maybe there's a reason you're getting angry. It's because you love one thing and it's not Jesus, and now I'm getting between you and that one thing. When I say, you are not your own, you are bought at a price, so honor God with your body, and you get angry at that, well, maybe it's because you've held up something you're doing with your body above Jesus. But those are some ways you can examine your life and say, what is it? What is it that I'm chasing after? And once you have identified what that thing is, don't stop. But now ask yourself, why am I chasing that thing? What am I really getting at? Because usually there's something a little bit deeper, and again, it takes some thought. I used some examples before. Why am I chasing that woman? Well, it's not necessarily that woman that's the problem. The problem is that I need to feel loved. And that is how I feel loved. Maybe it's, I am hunting for security. It's not even money. It's that I am scared and worried, and this is how I find security. What are you really hunting for? And again, that takes some doing. That takes some effort. And it takes some real time to examine your life. Step 2 in the next blank. Confess. Because once you see that you've been doing this, you see that you are sinning. It's a sin against the first commandment. You shall have no other gods. What does this mean? We should fear, love, and trust in God above all things. I have sinned against God Almighty. And I need to confess that. I need to admit it. That doesn't mean you stand up in church and say, I've been paying too much attention to the Cubs. I'm really picking on them today. I got to stop that. But take time between you and God in prayer and say, look, I have done this. I'm wrong. Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. And then step 3, focus on Jesus. Focus on him. Because what you see when you look at Jesus is someone who knows how you have betrayed him. And if you've been confirmed in a Lutheran church, you stood up and you said, yes, I will follow Jesus even to death, and I ask God to help me. And then you said, well, maybe not with my money, or maybe not with my free time, or maybe not. You betrayed your vows. I've done it. And yet God says, I still love you. I knew that you would betray me, and I still died for you because I love you that much. Yes, I knew what you would do, and I still chose to suffer for you, and I forgive you. My blood has washed you clean of all those times you've chased something else. You are washed, you are sanctified, you are justified in the name of Jesus Christ. You are his. See, when you focus on Jesus, that's a way better message than focusing on something else. You go ahead, you chase after success, and then you betray it. You think success will take you back? At best, you get to start over. Success, money, even human love is not nearly as forgiving as Jesus. But he says, you are my child, and I will not reject you. You are mine. Start by examining your life, confess, focus on Jesus, and then the last step, see how good he is. So when you focus on Jesus, continue that focus. And what's going to happen is something really cool. And I already described it. I'm looking for love. I have it. And if God chooses to bless me with human love besides that, bonus! Awesome! But that's not what I'm chasing after. I'm chasing after him. I long to be part of something bigger. And I have that with Jesus. And I get the bonus of being a fan of a sports team. Sweet! I can do that! But I'm chasing after Jesus. This is just bonus, not what I'm chasing after. And what you see is that Jesus is so much better that when those other things come knocking, you're going to say, oh, well, that's nice. I got something better, thanks. And see, the secret to following any of the 10 Commandments, and today in particular the first one, is not beating yourself up and saying, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, but it's seeing what Jesus has already done. He has already loved me. He has already died for me. He has already made a home for me in heaven. He has already made me part of something bigger. He has already given me security. Now that I have that, why would anything else tempt me? God asks, how long will you waver between two opinions? Well, if we're being honest, the answer is, as long as I believe a lie that I need Jesus and something else. See the truth. Jesus is way better than any of those other things. He loves you and will never reject you. He comforts you in every distress. He gives you true security. Anything you're looking for out there, you've already got in Jesus. Stop wavering. Focus on Him. Amen. Please stand. Please be seated. We've got announcements in the bulletin. I trust most of you can handle the English. You can read that on your own. I want to highlight just a couple. First off, Bible and Bacon is Saturday. Men, our men's group, which has Bible and bacon. Saturday, 8:30. We continue talking about politics and what Christians do with politics, which makes for a very exciting conversation. So show up 8:30 and we'll have breakfast ready. Women's Sweet Salvation, that's a couple weeks away yet, but you do need to read the chapter ahead. Sweet Salvation is our new women's group. I suppose some of you actually have been out on vacation, haven't been here. New women's group, we meet the third Saturday of every month, 2 p.m., reading a book called Leading a Chocolate Life. And what happens is the women get together, make something, and eat it while doing the Bible study. July, we're going to be making, or you, they don't allow me, I don't know. They're going to be making kebabs on the grill. So women, but you have to read the chapter ahead. If you want access to the book, it's in our church library. We've got several copies. Talk to me, I'll hook you up. All good. One more announcement that is not in here because it was finalized this morning. You've heard me talking for a while about our pregnancy counseling center in Racine. As of this morning, it is official. We are going to be opening up a branch of that pregnancy counseling center right here in this building. We are looking to open in September. We need to do some repainting and some minor remodeling in that room to get it ready. But as of this morning, it is official. We're going to be there, and we're only a few blocks from Planned Parenthood, which will be a major benefit. We'll be able to help a lot of women, both before birth, after birth, because we help out with kids until they hit age 3 with diapers and food and clothing, and also doing post-abortion counseling, helping women handle guilt and so on. I'm really looking forward to this. In future weeks, you will hear more news about that as that comes to be closer and closer as we get to play host to another really cool ministry. All right, let's go downstairs where hopefully it's a little bit cooler, enjoy some coffee, treats. There's usually juice down there too, so get something cold to drink, and join us afterwards. The Lord be with you this week.